Well, all I can tell you is sometimes people say, well, let's just, I wasn't going to do a stream today. That's all I'm saying. I'm editing a video. I got this really cool game that somebody sent me that kind of looks like the next Star Fox, possibly. I'm doing a video on that. But the fella who created the petition over at change.org to get Jimbo Ryan fired, he and I talked a little bit, and he says to me, I says, well, will you call in so we can talk to you on the stream? Because I'm sure people would like to hear from you. I have some questions for you. And he says, yes. So, I will save my questions and my thoughts on petitions and whatnot for him. He goes by the name of Virgil. And I will bring him in just a moment. I would just like to say hello. Good to see everybody. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking a little adventure with me. Tostado already is causing waves in the Discord. He says, well, what are you going to fire him on? Based on what? What did he do so wrong? Well, I'll give you my opinion, but we're going to bring in Virgil. Random Moose Brains wants to know, is this the poll from NeoGaf? Well, it's the poll that our very own Brian King, who is in the chat right now, posted. He started the thread on NeoGaf letting people know that there is this petition out there on change.org, but it's not Brian's poll. A number of people have sort of brought it to other people's attention, but no, the guy who started it is the guy that we're about to talk to. So, hello, Crank. I am well. How are you, sir? Okay, so I am going to bring him on just right now. Let me give him a call, and let's see if we can make a go of this. All right, call. All right, let me set my mic up. I'm streaming right now. It's in the kitchen. Thanks, buddy. Okay, are you there?
I'm coming. Where is the invite?
You're on the show right now.
I'm the show right now. Okay.
You are on the show right now. And you can watch it if you go to the YouTube channel if you want to see the comments that are going up, if you want to respond to those comments as you and I are talking. Do you have a link to the YouTube channel?
I'm already there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a subscriber of your channel.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. Okay. So your name is Virgil, correct? Or at least that's your handle. We'll call you that, or what do you want us to call you?
You can use my PSN nickname, Rayos Rogue.
I'll call you Rogue. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me get this straight. You are the guy who took time out of your day and you went to change.org and in fact, I'm going to bring it out for people to see. This is your petition, correct? That's not it. Your petition is this one that says remove Jim Ryan as CEO of PlayStation.
Yeah, that's my petition. In Twitter, other guys started the other petition that basically giving Jim Ryan a score, C, A, B, C, D, E, F. I don't know what's that about.
Right, and he's currently sitting at an F on the NeoGaf thread. But so, Rogue, you started this petition. You want to get to 1,000. You've got 745. So you honestly are in the headspace of saying you want Jim Ryan. If you woke up tomorrow and you saw the news that said Jim Ryan is no longer CEO of PlayStation, you would be a happy guy.
Depends, because let's look at it a political way.
Okay.
Donald Trump left as president of America, right? Is America happy? Is America happy right now? No. It's the same guy ruling America right now.
I don't understand that, but keep going.
Yeah, we thought he was going to be a good president. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, believed he was going to be a good leader. No, he's not. So it depends. If Jim gets fired, who sits after that?
Okay, well, okay. Let me do this. Forget Donald Trump or whatever for a minute, because I could talk your ear off about that, and I don't know if I agree with your analogy, but clearly a lot of people did not want, or the majority of people who voted did not want Trump to remain in office. Whatever you think of Trump, the math, there's the math. So there
Yeah.
were things that people had a problem with Donald Trump. You clearly feel that Jim Ryan is not good for PlayStation. What has he done that merits him being removed from that office in your mind?
In my mind, one of the worst possible things he done is he dismembered the Japan studio. I actually had director Gavin Moore of Demon's Souls remake. He was a part of The Last Guardian, Shadows of Colossus.
Yep, I know who he
so
is.
Much, yeah, so many projects. He came to me in my petition, and he's expressed his feelings, and he was feeling very sad about that. He had to leave Japan studio because he was 24 years with Sony. That's as much as I am with PlayStation. I'm 23 years with PlayStation, and he was very upset, which actually broke my heart.
Okay, well, a couple of things on that. So, I mean, look, there's no doubt about, like the guy who really gave me my career, or is one of the key reasons I had a career in video games, was Alan Becker. Alan Becker ran Sony Japan for a very long time. He left Sony Santa Monica. It ended up going to Shannon Studstill. She ended up running it, and he went to run Sony Japan. Well, I was stunned to learn a little over a year ago when they said, oh, Alan is no longer running Sony. Now, all these other guys get big news when they depart, but nobody wrote about Alan, and I think Alan liked it that way. Well, when I asked about it, it was like, well, did he just want to quit, or was he tired? Was he ready to retire? And they said, no. They just said, Jaffe, you would not believe how, for a guy who was given so much, not just time, but so much talent and brought so much success to PlayStation, you would not believe. Now, I'm hearing this secondhand. I don't have evidence of this. This is what someone told me who was working at Sony at the time. You would not believe how disrespectful it was, pretty much saying, it's time for you to go. So there is no doubt in my mind, from a lot of things I'm hearing, including what you just said, that maybe the way these people were ushered out was not kind. But the idea, the first thing you said, though, is one of the reasons you want to see Jim Ryan out is because dismantling of Sony Japan. I got to be honest with you. If I was running, if I was Jim Ryan, I would seriously consider massive changes to Sony Japan. As much as I adore some of the stuff they've made, I can't think of the last hit they've made other than Astrobot, and that team is staying on. So what is it that you think Jim Ryan should have done that was making Sony profitable? You want to release another Reign, or you want to release another what's the fucking Gravity Rush game 3 or whatever the fuck it's, I mean, why would they're not profitable?
I would actually give them a second chance, fund them. PlayStation already made $3.3 billion in 2020. This is, in my opinion, this is greed. When a man is very successful, he can get blinded by greed. And that's what's happening with Jim. He is doing great for business. I have no problem with his success.
Okay.
His success is making PlayStation better. But his success also blinded him because he is forgetting about PlayStation user. He thought, okay, Japan studio is not making any more money. Fire them, disband them, get them in a Soviet studio, and that's it. It's a wrap.
Well, right. Well, why is that at a pure business level? Why is that bad? If you've got only so much money, which they do every year, and someone comes to Jim Ryan, let's say the head of Sony Japan, who's no longer Alan, comes to Jim Ryan and says, okay, our budget for the next fiscal year, we need from the pot that you would give out to people. Let's say we need, I'm just making a number up, we need $175 million to get us for the next 12 months. And Jim Ryan also knows that Ophir Lupu, the biggest video game business agent in the business, has come to him a week earlier and said, hey, Rob Ferguson and Cliff Bleszinski are going to start a new company and make a shooter that's exclusive to PlayStation. And right now we are really weak in the shooter area. But that's going to cost, okay, that's going to cost a lot of that money that Japan wants. Well, if you're Jim Ryan, what are you going to do? Give it to Japan to make another fucking Ape Escape that nobody's buying? Or are you going to give it to Rob Ferguson and Cliff Bleszinski to take a chance to actually have Sony's own version of Halo or Gears of War? I mean, why is this greed? Why isn't this just good business?
We already have our own version of Halo. It's called Returnal. You can disagree with me if you want.
I'm only disagreeing with you because it's not out yet, and it's also not multiplayer, right?
Well, yes, but it's better than Halo because we have a story-driven narrative. We're on an alien planet. It's a sci-fi shooter, and I think it's going to be a great shooter. Whatever is going to be worth $70, that's up to you.
Okay. So Sony Japan, you think he's greedy? Okay, let me get this straight. You think he's good for PlayStation business, but he's greedy, and that's why you want him gone. So even if he's great for business, so you must really want Bobby Kotick of Activision gone, because he's the greediest motherfucker I've ever come across in the video game business, but he makes them bank. Is that correct?
I just want to get the message correct to everyone that's watching. I don't want him gone. I want him to fix his mistakes.
Well, you have a petition that says remove him as CEO. What is that supposed to be?
Yeah, but on the petition, up on the petition, I list the problems. I want him to fix his mistakes. And I explained to everybody that the message is make him fix his mistake or step down.
But his mistake, okay, give me his other mistakes. So one is, according to you, closing Japan is a mistake.
And Shunsuke Saito, one of Japan's story, also left. So Japan is starting to believe less and less in Sony, and they're leaving. I'm reading the IGN article. Japan said 2 months ago that they will support Sony even if they move to, California, and they're international company. They're no longer in Japan, and so on. But now, more people are starting to leave Sony when Japan studio was disbanded, and this is not good. This is not good for the Japanese market.
Why? You say that like all the games that Sony Japan made did incredibly well in Japan, and these people leaving are going to deny the Japanese of games they love. And even that wouldn't necessarily be a reason to keep a studio open, because ultimately it's a global business. But you can't even stand on that because their games weren't successful for the most part.
He could sustain them as Blue Point and just let them do remakes, and I don't think that would cost a lot of money.
Okay, so what else besides Japan do you have a problem with Jim Ryan?
He's closing PlayStation 4 communities. I know a lot of people there. I went to play Monster Hunter World, a lot of games, Bloodborne, where we gather together online. And now when they get closed, we got to go to Discord. And what happens if Microsoft drops $10 billion and gets Discord? Where do we go then?
Well, they'll make their own. I mean, but talk to me about what Jim is doing with the. So you're saying what is Jim Ryan closing?
PlayStation 4 communities where all gamers gather.
Oh, you mean you mean on the PS4 message boards? Yeah,
which PS5 is missing right now, which is a big bummer. They need to include that.
Okay, give me another one.
Okay, so another problem I have is, I think John Lemon for Digital Foundry has the same problem. Every old school PlayStation gamer and every PlayStation gamer has a problem with this, destroying legacy. When you go to the PC, I can play games that are so old that I was not even born.
Understood. I can too. I love that about Steam. I love that right now about Xbox.
Yeah, I am 28 years old, and there's games on PC before I was even born. I was born in 1992.
Okay.
There's games older than that, and everything is preserved. I can go play The Witcher 1. I can go play Doom 1.
Okay, right.
Quake 1.
So what's the problem with Sony?
The biggest problem here is, from a hardware specification, the CPU of PlayStation 5 and GPU is plenty of capable of emulating that legacy. Yes, there's an argument for PlayStation 3 games are hard to emulate, but Sony Sony knows better than everyone, better than any tech engineer, hardware engineer, how to do that. The PlayStation 5 has the GPU and CPU going to do it, and Sony filed a patent for trophies on emulation. Patents don't mean necessarily anything because they can just file a patent and do nothing after that. But if they
okay, but hang on a second. So let me just make sure I'm understanding. You're saying that another reason you want to see Jim Ryan go if he doesn't change his ways, his evil ways, is that he is not effectively focusing on backwards compatibility. Whether that is through emulation or some other way, that is, you feel, a crucial thing the CEO of PlayStation should be doing, correct?
I just want you can cuss on your show, right?
Absolutely.
Just ask. I don't want you to get demonetized. So what Jim Ryan's doing is basically saying, fuck you to your old God of War games. Who's going to play old God of War games? I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Bye-bye to the PlayStation 3. He's not respecting your work, David.
I don't care.
And that's offensive to me.
But it's business, man. I mean, just like I tell people, the way you communicate with companies is with your wallet. The way a company shows you respect, you're only as valuable to a company, my lawyer said, and it's also a cliche and it's true. You're only as valuable as what you can negotiate. I don't need Jim Ryan as a human's respect. But if Jim Ryan signs a contract with me that says they will do X, Y, and Z and they don't, that's disrespectful. Sony has never been disrespectful when it comes to fulfilling their end of the contracts and obligations to the partners that they sign with, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really give a fuck if Jim Ryan likes or doesn't like God of War. In his mind, he is making PlayStation more money than they've ever made. And not only his mind, in the investor's mind.
That's true.
And so I guess the question becomes, I understand that you are frustrated by some of these things because they run counter to the things that you value. And I absolutely respect that. You value Japan even though they're not making as much money as they need to stay in business. Mm-hmm. You value backwards compatibility even though, historically speaking, it's something that a lot of hardcore people are vocal about, but it never really seems to move the needle in terms of sales and success. All the things that you value are important, but they're money losers. So you would have Jim Ryan, you would rather Sony be in third place financially and not be able to invest in new games and new technology because they're not making as much money, but they're doing all of these programs that you like but aren't financially feasible. Is that what you're saying? Because that's exactly what you're saying.
I would rather them merge PS Plus with PS Now and bring all these PlayStation 1, PS2, PS1, PS Vita, and PSP titles there. So the legacy
they probably are doing that. That is what the rumor is.
Yeah, and they should make PS Now available to all countries outside of the UK, because I am in a Bulgarian country where PS Now is not supported. I don't have access to it.
Okay. Let me tell you the only thing I think Jim Ryan should be removed for. Would you like to hear the only thing I think he should be removed for that I know? I don't know him personally. He could be assassinating people on the weekends, but in terms of what we know, I think Jim Ryan should only be removed if it turns out he does not have a plan for countering Game Pass, and that he does not have even though his plan may not work. If it turns out. And I have had people at Sony tell me, it's like, Jaffe, you would be stunned how, not all by any means, because there's some brilliant executives at Sony, but they said you would be stunned how many executives at Sony don't play games. They don't know about games at all. They're just, they don't really even understand how much the business has changed. But assuming Jim Ryan has a plan, and we just haven't heard it yet, which I think is quite probable, but if he doesn't have a plan, then it's like, yeah, you're a moron, Jim Ryan. You don't deserve to be in that seat. But that's it. And there's no evidence that that's the case. So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, and I want you to tell me how you feel about this.
Okay.
I love that you subscribe to the channel. I love that you called in. I love that you're passionate. The world needs more passionate people. But I'm going to tell you this to your goddamn face, sir. You are incredibly... uneducated about this stuff. You are letting your emotions lead you down the road, and you haven't really thought this through. Because, you know, the PlayStation legacy, the PS Vita legacy, that store was open forever. It's closing because no one was using it and because they're probably going to do something better with it. Japan's closing because no one was buying their shit. My company, I have no, look, one of my favorite people in the business, Scott Rohde, I have no problem. If I was Scott Rohde, I would have pulled my business from Bartlett Jones because the game we made them didn't sell and was critically, you know, destroyed. Even though I loved it and Scott tells me he really enjoyed it and I believe him, we didn't deliver. It's not a charity. People are in it to make money and feed their families and, you know, do whatever it is they do when they get their money. I'm fascinated that you think it's a personal thing where Jim Ryan's making everybody a lot of money. Sony's can't find a goddamn... Now, again, India last week, which I thought was a really important story, where last week the Xbox Series S outsold PlayStation. And it was on the back of the customers saying, we want Game Pass, when they learned what Game Pass was. But so I think things are going to change. But right now, Sony is ruling the roost along with Switch, depending on what territory. The guy seems to be doing a great goddamn job. I don't understand, you know, why can't your perspective be that is annoying? I'm emotionally attached to the brand. I love these games. I came up playing these games, and it really sucks to see things change. But you can still respect the fact that Jim Ryan at the moment is doing a good job for Sony. Why can't both of those things exist in your mind?
I completely agree with you. He's doing a great job for business. In a business perspective, it's good to disband Japan studio, but it's disrespectful. Those people have so much talent, and they have worked 24 years with Sony. He had enough money to sustain him as a small studio, helping out his first party, second party studios.
How do you know? Okay, let me give you. Okay, there were a bunch of guys that left Sony Japan recently, and they started their own company. And they're doing, it's the guys who did Siren and Silent Hill, and they're doing a horror game, right? You know these guys? Okay. So it's possible that they said, you know, my understanding, for whatever it's worth, is Jim Ryan is obviously not Sean Layden. He's not Shuhei. He certainly ain't Rhodey. He doesn't go home and play games. He doesn't live, breathe, and eat games, okay? My understanding is a lot of the people that we're talking about are the older Sony guard that really look at video games as art and creativity. And again, I look at him that way as well. But there was a group within Sony that consistently was like, I don't really think terribly about the commercial property. I'm thinking more about expressing myself. And there was a time, when games like that could be profitable. But games are getting more and more expensive. And so those guys may have come to Jim Ryan and said, we want to make this crazy horror game that's super arty-farty and all that. And Jim's like, look, guys, I'd love to work with you, but I can't greenlight things like that anymore. We have to swing for home runs or at least doubles. We can't swing for gravity rushes anymore. I mean, we don't know that didn't happen, correct?
Correct. I want to say this is emotional, but I have thought this through. I have thought doing this petition or protest, whatever you call it.
Yes.
And I agree with you as I represent most PlayStation gamers out there that have been stuck with PlayStation since PlayStation 1 from the beginning. And I agree that Jim Ryan needs something like Game Pass. He cannot sustain Game Pass, but he needs something to answer Game Pass.
That's true. What do you think this petition is going to do? Let's say you get to 10,000 signatures, which I don't think you will. You're struggling to get to 1,000, but let's say you get to 10,000. I mean, do you think what's your greatest wish with this petition? What do you hope to achieve?
My greatest wish is for us to be heard. I will not achieve for him to get fired. That's not going to happen. He will only get fired when he's not making profit by his bosses at Sony. He is doing great for business, so I don't see him getting fired, even if I stand at Twitter 24/7 with my feet up in the air.
Okay. So this is just it's a protest petition. You just want people to know how you feel, and I can respect that. And you've got you've got people in the chat right now that do agree with you. You've got people who agree with you. You're not alone.
I just want PlayStation to hear us, and Jim's not looking at Twitter. I'm sure he's not looking at Twitter because when Horizon Zero Dawn was released on PC, many old school PlayStation gamers protested against that. And he said in his recent interview that he didn't see any negative reaction to Horizon Dawn going to PC, which is absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if. I can't tell you. I didn't read that interview. I don't know if that.
That's my other biggest problem. It's not my problem of exclusives going to PC 1 or 2 years after. It's my problem with exclusives going date and date, and we're going to become just like Xbox.
In what way? Just like Xbox, how? In that they have an amazing service and they're basically about to change the industry?
Gaming developers focus on the Xbox and PC and focus all their resources to develop that game. But when a game is exclusive for Nintendo or PlayStation, we get better quality. That's why PlayStation has the most awards winning out of any company. The Last of Us 2 is going to reach 300 awards pretty soon. That's what I'm trying to protect and keep, the quality of those games. I don't care about console sales. I don't care about that. I care for the quality of the game.
Okay, and when you say quality of the game, you are specifically you lump in that the visual quality and the production value, because you're aware that there are a lot of video games that win Game of the Year that don't have the same production value. But you are right that if you're writing specifically to one piece of hardware, you are going to get a much better, or you're going to have a higher percentage chance of getting a much cooler looking product because you only have to put your resources into one thing. Are you just
like your games?
You're just talking about production value, though.
Yeah, just like your games are top quality because they're exclusive to PlayStation 2, and you guys had time to focus all your resources towards the PlayStation. You didn't have to worry about PC, another platform.
So what do you do? Here's my last question. I got some super chats coming in. I'll read for you in a second. They're all about what you're saying. But let me ask you a question. What do you do if you were Jim Ryan and you knew to get Uncharted 5, Horizon 2, Ragnarok, you knew to get the games because they're getting so expensive. Games last generation, there were a few first-party games that were north of $200 million in production budget, okay? You knew that the only way to keep that level of quality was to do things like make less games. So instead of, spending 10 million, 12, 20 million here or there on God of War, Gravity Rush 3, not God of War, Drawn to Death, a new Twisted Metal, which is going to sell to some people, but not millions and millions of people. You knew you had to start cutting anything that wasn't the big hitters. And you also knew that if you started putting things on PC, and you started sharing the load with PS4 and PS5, you could afford to stay in that business of making the best AAA games on the planet. I mean, hasn't it occurred to you that maybe the reason they're having to do all this is because games are getting incredibly expensive?
Let's be honest, David.
I'm always honest.
He made more money than he ever did in his life in 2020, including Sony. 3.3 billion, and Sony made above 20 billion.
Okay.
This is greed. This is nothing else. This is greed. He has plenty of money right now. What he's saying is, oh no, PlayStation gamers no longer satisfied me. I need to go to PC. This is just bullshit. This is bullshit. First, when he does that, and when he puts all the PlayStation games on PS Now day one, PlayStation exclusive games, he's not going to make that much profit. You have PC gamers pirating games from a long time, and if a PlayStation exclusive port is shit, if they don't like it, they're going to pirate it. They're not going to support gaming developers. We all know that.
But the number of people out there that actually, there aren't enough people out there that affect the market that pirate games because most people who pirate games and hurt business, they do it because they're consistently comfortable with being thieves. It's not like most of these guys or girls who pirate have some great code of honor and go, well, if the game has heart and soul, I won't pirate it. I mean, I'm sure those people exist, but I don't think that represents the vast majority of people that are morally okay stealing, which is ultimately what it is, which is fine if that's what you want to do. All right. Well, listen, I listen, man. I mean, I'm a hardcore fan of a bunch of things, and I get it. I get the fact that it's almost vulgar to suggest that the only reason companies exist is to make money. It would be nice to go, you know what? I would love to have a company that says we want to make great shit and heartfelt shit. And yes, we want to make money, but we only want to make money if we're able to put out stuff that we think is awesome. And we want to put out stuff that takes chances and on and on and on and on. And certainly some of these executives are a little bit more on the money side. I think Jim Ryan is more about the money, less about the art. And some of them are more about the art and less about the money. And some of them get it just right. Like, even though he was an asshole, Steve Jobs, when he was alive and doing stuff at Apple, I think he got it just right. He was able to make tons of money for Apple, but he was also able to please the customer and build great brand loyalty.
Excellent comparison, because I love Steve Jobs. I love what he said about Microsoft.
I understand. I understand. But the thing is, though, is ultimately, though, the hard truth for you may just be that Sony is no longer the company for you. And I think I'm seeing that more and more with a lot of people, by the way. And I love The Last of Us and I love God of War. But it may just ultimately be that and we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the show, as companies as mediums get bigger and bigger and bigger, they have no choice, if they want to sustain themselves, to move further away from the fans that got them there. Because as they get bigger, they have to appeal to a mainstream audience. And the mainstream audience values price and convenience more than they value top quality products. And in that, I think the normal course of action is for people to branch off that were hardcore aficionados and have to find other new things to champion. Sony just may have grown itself out of reach of a lot of people like you, because I don't think they can sustain their business and satisfy you at the same time. But I hear you.
I know. I know what Sony's doing. They're trying to profit and they're doing the right business decision. Yeah. But if they continue to port PlayStation games like 1 or 2 years after they're focused and made just for PS5, I have no problem with that. Okay. I have no problem with PC gamers experience those great games. What I have a problem with is we becoming like Xbox day and day on Game Pass, and that quality is going to be tarnished. Nintendo and PlayStation brands always were about exclusivity. Exclusivity is not gatekeeping, it's not anti-consumer. It's needed to produce quality games in order for people to enjoy that. And when we go to the PC, I have a question for you.
Yeah, real quick, because I want to read some super chats that were meant for you, and then I'm going to get to a different call. But go ahead.
I have a question for you. Yeah. In 2019, Horizon Zero Dawn sold 10 million units, but right now statistics on PC say 712,000. Do you think that's enough sales? Well, for the PC version.
Probably that's are you saying you have stats that say it has only sold 700,000 copies?
Yes, you can go on Google and you can type Horizon Zero Dawn sell units, and it says 712,000 sold on PC right now. It's close to 1 million. It's not 1 million units. So,
okay. I mean, again, if you do 750,000 units times whatever they made off of it, I mean, I'm sure it's just extra profit. I'm sure it doesn't hurt. I'm sure they made their port money back, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their expectations were with it, but who's to say? Let me read you these chats. Game Over HD says, this dude, meaning you, sir, don't represent me. I'm a hardcore PlayStation fan, and I don't want Sony to have a Game Pass. So this guy doesn't want Sony to have Game Pass. I respect that, but sorry, it's coming. It is changing the game quite literally, and Sooner than later, there will always be competition. There will always be exclusives, but they won't look the way they look now. They won't be hardware-based exclusives. They will be things like, hey, your smart TV can play Game Pass and it can play PS Now. It'll be like Netflix versus HBO Max. It won't be like Nintendo versus Sega, because ultimately it's all going to be streaming anyway. Solid Snake says, he drops super chat. He says, I'm sorry, but you are alone in the fight. Leave us out of it. He don't want to sign your damn petition, Virgil, but he has that right, and I respect both you guys for that.
He has that right, yeah.
He absolutely does.
Absolutely.
Death Proof says, oh man, Death Proof he's not a fan of yours, pal. He says, this guy is awful at business talk. He thinks you're too emotional. What do you think about that? Do you think you'd make a good CEO of Sony, or do you think you're too emotional?
I am not letting my emotions get the best of me. I think people are judging the book on the first cover. And would I make a great CEO? Probably not, because when it comes to leading PlayStation and any company, there's a lot of responsibility. And like you said, I have to be very educated in that business to be a good leader.
Right. All right, one more. Solid Snake says, you make about as much sense as a Metal Gear Solid plot. Tell him to buy an Xbox and your problem will be solved. Well, what's funny is he has a solid Snake. I think it's a Metal Gear avatar. And he says, I mean, at least he owns the fact that those games don't make any goddamn sense. But that said, they're great games. And I appreciate all those super chats. Thank you guys very, very goddamn much. I am going to bring in, you know what? I'm going to bring in a guy that the chat wants me to bring in called AP. And if you want, I can bring you into the conversation as well. But let me hang up on you and bring him in. And you hit me up and let me know if you want to talk with him. But let's see what he has to say first. In the meantime, Virgil, thank you so much for doing this. If you're just joining us, Virgil is the guy who started the Fire Jim Ryan as CEO of PlayStation Petition. If you agree with what he has said, I'm going to put a link right now in the YouTube, and you can go over there and sign it. It is currently at 744 signatures. If it ultimately gets up to 1 million signatures, guess what's going to happen? Not a goddamn thing. But either way, it's I can't link the goddamn thing. Just Google it yourself. For some reason, it's not working. Oh, I know why, because it's too goddamn long. All right, Rogue, thank you so much. Maybe we'll talk in a little bit. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Rogue. Okay, I'm going to bring in AP. I don't know who AP is, but people in the stream have been saying, Jaffe, put AP on. All right, AP, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, kind of bouncing off what the petition signer said. I mean, I signed a petition, and I think, I don't know, the current PlayStation leadership, it doesn't seem like there's a clear vision to me. Like, you talk about how, like, a Game Pass is coming, and ultimately, like, I was someone, I don't know, like, I guess you can say I was a Game Pass denier, but after seeing what they pulled with that MLB thing and with Outriders and stuff, and apparently Battlefield being rumored, I think that, it's rumored that Battlefield 6 or whatever it's going to be called, it's going to be day one on Game Pass this fall.
Yep.
And ultimately, I don't know, just like the whole month or so, just the whole past year, like, it's really woken me up, and I think you're right in that they're preparing for the Game Pass future, but I mean, I don't really, like, I think closing down, like, Japan Studio, like, I think that's counterintuitive, because you usually make a point, or at least I understand it, that, like, the beauty of subscription services and Game Pass and stuff is how you can have, like, all these unique games, and, like, you don't have to, like, make the game, like, so big budget for people to check it out and play it. And personally, I think, like, those smaller games that didn't do so well at Japan Studio, like Gravity Rush and stuff like that, I think that, you know, that would have benefited from having a day and date release on a subscription service.
I think you're absolutely right. But I still, if I was Jim Ryan and I had the data I have, which is the data you have, I would still shut them down if my goal was to build PS Now 2.0. Do you know why?
Why?
Because if you're Jim Ryan and you've got to compete with PS Now, or with Game Pass, you're going to want smaller games that launch day one on Game Pass, and you want to keep your AAAs able to continue to be exclusive to retail for not as long, but 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, and then they come to PS Now. But you're going to have to counter Microsoft's day and date first party. And in that, I would be taking a bunch of that money from Japan. I would be taking a bunch of that money from a bunch of these titles that probably were never going to be that big. And I would be giving that money to people like Insomniac or people like Naughty Dog. And I would be saying, just like they did with Lost Legacy, just like they did with that Ratchet and Clank game that was kind of a short game for $20 on the PS3. I don't mean make the same games. I don't mean make the same IP. But I mean basically go to tried and true people that make commercial titles that are still short and interesting and the level of quality people expect, and pay them $25 million to make these day one drops instead of what they're spending the money on with Japan and whatnot. Because ultimately, if Sony wants to compete with Game Pass, they are going to need their day one drops. They can't be the big AAA $200 million games. They've already said that. And so they're going to need something that's not arty-farty. They don't want to spend that money with that game company, as much as I love that game company, to make some evocative, emotional thing, maybe down the road.
Okay.
But I don't think to get out of the gate and compete with Game Pass when they're already way behind, it's going to work to go, hey, look, come to PS Now and you can play Gravity Rush 3 or Journey 2 or What Remains of Edith Finch 2. Ultimately, yes, that is happening. And it's going to happen in a smaller budget. But for first party, I think they need to greenlight small commercial bangers, basically, in order to compete.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is, I mean, that money taken away from Japan studio and stuff, just like put that back into the more well-established studios for them to make smaller projects and not always these bigger games.
Well, I think you want to put the money on safer, more commercial bets.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's Jade Raymond's new company that Sony is funding a little bit of, or whether or not that is an established company, or whether that's Kojima coming back and saying, okay, I know Death Stranding was a little weird for a lot of people. Let me give you something more commercial, and it's only going to be 4 hours long. It'll cost you $18 million. Wherever they want to place their bets. My point, though, is I don't think Jim Ryan is looking at Japan and going, I don't think he didn't give them a chance. When I was at Sony, even companies that got shut down or developers, there was always that sort of time of, look, if you guys can come up with something we want to make, that's different. But you guys so far haven't been paying the bills for us. I don't imagine, I'm not saying it did occur, but I don't imagine that it was any different with Jim Ryan in Japan going, hey guys, the only thing you guys have put out that have really connected is Astrobot. We're keeping those guys. Can you come up with something that's going to be a worldwide connector? And maybe they just couldn't. I mean, you guys are painting him. I'm not saying he's not, by the way, but you guys are painting him like a cartoon villain, like he's just sitting there. and he may be, but we have no evidence of that. The only thing we have, only thing we have evidence of right now, if we were to only take the data we have and never get any new data, based on what has been released in terms of what Jim Ryan is doing, is he's asleep at the wheel and out of touch when it comes to Game Pass. I don't think he is, but I'm just saying the optics are that he is because they haven't released any news.
Well, I mean, one thing I'm really having trouble wrapping my head around is like why they would go like the exact direct opposite. Like, I mean, Returnal $70. Meanwhile, Game Pass, games are cheaper to access on Game Pass, but Sony's raising their price. That seems kind of tone deaf to me. And
it does.
I think
it does. Yes, you are not wrong on that. That is, and again, Jim Ryan may be bad for this company, but we don't know yet. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. If Jim Ryan doesn't see, think about it. Look, I'm not pro Sony or pro Xbox. I'm pro game. Okay. Yeah. If Jim Ryan doesn't see, and I'm sure he does, only because you don't get to his position being a moron. If he doesn't see the fact that if you walk into a GameStop or a Best Buy or Amazon.com and go, I can get Dirt for $70 or $60 or $50, depending, Dirt 5, or I can get it for free on Xbox. I can get MLB for $70 or I can get it for free on Xbox. I can get Outriders for $70 or free on Xbox. If you're right and the rumor's true, I can get Battle fucking Field 6 for $70 or free on Xbox. And then today the news comes out, you think the man's waking up to at least counterpunch with Avengers on PS Now. And it turns out Avengers on PS Now is only the PS4 version. So if you have a PS5, you still have to buy it to get the PS5 upgrade. And it's like, what are you doing, Jimbo? So look, the optics are not good, but that only is maybe because we don't have all the information. What's that?
It can change, it's still early in his reign or regime or whatever you want to call it, but it just doesn't seem to me like there's a clear vision. Like even with the PS or the PC ports, it's like they're doing it like so weirdly and by a case-by-case basis. So like, why don't you just go all in, be clear and upfront with your console consumers that chances are that most of your games are going to go to PC a year later, and why don't you like try capitalizing on that by bringing like a PlayStation launcher over there and like having your own storefront, being able to sync trophies and stuff. It just seems like there's just not a clear vision, and he's like not. I don't know. I guess he's just not paying attention, but maybe
that is one possibility. I don't have any evidence I don't have any evidence to suggest that's the case though. I really don't think that's what's happening. I think this is just like 8 months ago or 10 months ago when everybody was like, Sony's in trouble because we're not hearing anything about PS5. The sky is falling. And then Sony comes out and says, no, we'll talk when we're ready to talk. We're the number one game in town. And they talked and everyone's like, shit, this looks great. And now it's like you can't find one on store shelves. My gut is that's what's happening here. But if it's not, yeah, this guy's a problem. But I don't think we know enough to start, signing petitions about letting him, getting rid of him. But yeah, if you're Sony, maybe it matters that the optics are bad. Maybe they don't care. I don't fucking know. But the optics are not good. But I think if you dig beneath the surface a little bit, they're just optics. There's no indication that is actually what's happening.
Well, disregarding the optics and stuff and like all that, me speaking specifically from a gamer perspective, I know of COVID that makes stuff hard and whatnot. And I'm not saying like he's directly, responsible for this. I don't know who is. I guess it's the software engineers. But I mean, generally speaking, it feels like the PlayStation UI itself is so stripped back and not really like gamer, quote unquote, gamer friendly. Like you have to dig through so many menus and stuff. And maybe that's a conversation for a totally different thing.
I think it's a different conversation because
Sony's
always been that way. Let me tell you something. I just got onto the Xbox ecosystem for the first time since 360 with the X. That ain't much better. I don't actually have a problem with the Sony UI compared to, and I have gotten used to the Xbox infrastructure and it's nice, but it's very counterintuitive. But I think that's a different conversation though.
Mm-hmm. But like speaking like ecosystem as a whole, like it just seems like what they have going on over there with the Play Everywhere and stuff, which Sony doesn't have that type of money that Microsoft has, and like that really makes me question the long-term like plan for Sony. Like, is Game Pass going to eventually come to PlayStation, or are they going to try to counter Game Pass? But they don't really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Sony's a broke company, but yeah, they don't have as much money. But tough. I mean, you compete with what you've got, right? You compete with the tools you've got, and right now Sony is best in the business of making a certain kind of game. And it's possible they will be able to, if they can keep doing that, at big budgets and small budgets, and the small budgets go day one to PS Now, I think they'll be more than fine. But if right now they look like a company, I don't think they are, but they look like a company with their head in the sand. And, there's a great analogy and I can't remember it, but it's one of those things where it's like the world is changing. And the industry is changing. And from an outside looking in perspective, it looks like Sony is just not paying attention, or they're willfully ignoring the fact that there are seismic shifts happening in the business. And it's not just Game Pass. It's Roblox. It's Fortnite. It's happening over at Nintendo with the Switch. It is consistently the last 2 years. It's Among Us. The last 2 or 3 years has been massive upheaval in video games and in interactive entertainment. And Sony just seems like the danger with Jim Ryan, which I don't think is real, but I think the fear is he's an old school sales guy, brick and mortar guy, and he's living in 2002. And it's like that. And I don't know if that's the case, but that's the danger. And sometimes based on what we know, that's kind of what it seems like. That's all I'll say.
I mean, you have him, and then you have Phil Spencer, who, you know, is active on Twitter and stuff. And, you know, I give Phil Spencer shit and stuff and, you know, made fun of him, memes or whatever. But he's doing, like, it seems like me that he's listening more to the Xbox audience than Jim Ryan is. And, you know, the last caller mentioned Jim Ryan said there wasn't really an adverse reaction to the Horizon PC port. And speaking from a numbers perspective, there probably wasn't. Which, you know, that's probably what Jim Ryan only looks at is numbers and stuff, which is completely understandable. But I think in terms of like long term, like keeping trust with consumers and stuff, I think you know, they need to be more.
Do you?
Don't know.
Let me ask you. What do you think of Phil Spencer? Do you like Phil Spencer, like as a CEO?
Right now, I think he's doing more to build to. Like, I think he's doing more long term to keep the Xbox ecosystem or whatever afloat for the future, like planting the seeds and stuff. And then Jim Ryan's over here, I don't know, just following orders from Sony heads and using PlayStation as a piggy bank to invest in AI and all this other stuff. I don't know. Microsoft, you know, they're kind of going crazy with what they're doing there, and it doesn't seem like Sony's really doing that. But like you said, you know, it could just be like the PS5 thing where they're quiet and, you know, they just do their own thing and wait to announce whatever news. But, you know, I think you know, as time goes on, like an IGN article was just released about like India or somewhere like that, like the Series S was the best selling console. And
yeah,
I mean, I think going forward, if they don't do anything and if Sony leadership just keeps doing the bare minimum, going through the emotions, that, you know, we're going to start seeing more than that. Because I mean, oh my god, like Battlefield is a huge franchise, and if that's day one on Game Pass, then that's going to be troubling. And like Game Pass as a whole, like it can even cut into PlayStation Store profits, because, you know, people would buy it on a PlayStation Store and they would make money from that, as well as microtransactions. But, you know, if people are going over there to buy it on the Xbox version because of Game Pass, then it's a more lucrative deal, and Microsoft will be getting a lot more of those numbers and what Sony does. And I don't know. I just
let me ask you this. Are you looking at your screen right now?
The chat?
No, the video. Somebody wants to talk to you. Look at are you watching the stream?
Yeah.
What's on your screen right now?
Phil Spencer as Jesus.
You goddamn right. You bow down before Game Pass, motherfucker. I know all. You will all come to Game Pass. Jim Ryan's soul will be... Phil, you sound a little like Satan. Fuck you. You were born Jewish. You're going to burn in hell. Okay, I don't like Phil Spencer anymore. What do you think about that, AP? He's an asshole. Fuck you. All I can tell you is Game Pass is fucking impressive, and I hear what you're saying. I appreciate the call. Clearly, my ADD's kicked in because I got bored of the call, but it was a good one, and it was deep, and it was interesting. It was just a little too meaty for me, but I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for calling. Call back anytime, man. All right. See ya. There you go. There goes AP. Well, I mean, you know, that's the deal. I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, I really am of the mind that that we're dealing with a company that just hasn't laid its cards on the table. Now, what AP was saying, though, and it's a rumor. Somebody I think it was Brian East in the chat's like, it's just stupid speculation. I mean, yeah, ultimately it's a fun thing to talk about if you love the industry, if you love games. Nobody really fucking knows. I have some data you guys don't have. You would be surprised sometimes how people in these companies that are very high up can be out of touch. It's staggering sometimes what they don't know. That said, though, I think here's what I think you have to look for that's bad. If Sony comes out all proud and shit and they think they have found their solution to Game Pass, and it's like, we heard you gamers, all you want is backwards compatibility. We'll let you emulate PS3 and PS Vita and PSP and get trophies. And look, Avengers, PS Now. We're not merging the two systems together. We're not going to be bringing new things day one date. We're not going to go out and fight for indies to be day and date. We're just giving you the backwards compatibility through emulation, and we're going to give you every now and then some better PS Now stuff. And they go, huh? Where's the kudos, bitches? Then you need to worry that they do not understand what is happening. Agent Otzel says, and I don't agree with them. He says, Game Pass is overrated. Third-party games get removed all the time. There aren't that many first-party games to justify it. Yeah. Games do get returned all the time. Or retired all the time, and new games come and take their place. Most people don't want all those games all the time. They're fine with the game being on there for 4, 8, 10 months and then moving on. That's most people. Yeah, you can call in, absolutely. Alejandro says, did you read the IGN India article said people bought Series S because the PS4 and 5 are out of stock? Yes, that's not a gotcha. The whole point of Game Pass being what it is people are like, well, Jaffe, Game Pass has been around. If it was so great, why hasn't it totally dominated? A lot of people still don't understand what Game Pass is. There's still people walking around that if you tell them Game Pass or PS Now, they're like, oh, I can't do streaming. And it's like, it's not streaming, but right. But to go into a store with wanting a PS4 or a PS5 and it's sold out, but you're in a position to learn about something new at that point. Hey, have you heard of Game Pass? What they're saying is when the customer who walks in with X hundreds of dollars ready to spend hears about the value proposition of Game Pass, they go, oh, I'm totally in. I didn't know about that. So it's not that people went in and were upset or wanted a PlayStation 5 and it's really a positive PlayStation 5 story. It's the fact that people went in with the intention of buying Sony, and because the situation was what it was, they couldn't, and it allowed them to hear about the competition. And in hearing about the competition, they walked out with Xbox. That's the problem. That's the beat that you have to pay attention to, is when a customer is faced with both options, they choose Game Pass, at least in India, at least this last month. Boogster, what's up?
Hi, can you hear me?
I cannot hear you at all. Yes, I can hear you fine. What's up, man?
All right, I heard this twice, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. Hearing them talk about games going to PC day and date, I was just wondering, why does anyone actually care if they're like PlayStation exclusives go to PC day and date? They're still getting to play the game, and honestly, if you like a product, don't you want as many people as possible to experience that like you did?
Yes. So let me answer that real quick. Let me let you guys know. Hello, ProtoV. It's always good to see ProtoV. But ProtoV and other people in the chat are acting like, oh, you can download from PS Now. And ProtoV says, I thought it was just streaming. That's my point. Of course you can download. Anybody who uses it like I do, I subscribe to it. Of course I know you can download, but that's what I'm saying. They both these companies have done a piss poor job of explaining what these are. And when the GameStop employees finally explained it to people in India, people were like, oh, neat. I like that. I want that. But anyway, to your point, sir, so the argument that I do agree with, but I don't care about, but I think the logic holds, is when they say, well, if you put it on PC and PS5 day one, you are going to have to make concessions so it runs on a lot of different types of PCs, and it even if it's only one type of PC with one spec, you still have to compromise because it's not only being written for the PS5. And in that, I don't think most gamers will care, but sure, if you were a hardcore aficionado, just like hardcore cinephiles they lose their shit if they go to a movie and it's a little bit out of focus or the sound's not perfect. They're like, that's what I love. So I don't agree. It doesn't move me, but I appreciate that is a position that for those people is real. But other than that, I think it's just them being fanboys. They don't like the fact that they can no longer say, this is exclusive, this is my thing. They like the games. Of course, they love the games. That's why they love the company. But as much as they do, they also love the tribe. And they don't want to lose. And they don't want their precious shit to be anywhere else except... there's a real psychological component to it. And I think that's a good part of it. But I do think there is a valid aficionado argument that says, all that may be true, Jaffe, but you have to admit, if the game is built from the ground up, knowing it has to share, especially day and date with PC and PS5, you're going to have to make concessions on both. I don't think most people are going to notice and most people will care, but I think there is truth to that, but it doesn't bother me.
Can I give an example real quick, then I'll leave?
Yeah, sure. You make it sound like you're awful. Can I give an example? And if I do, then I'll leave. Okay, that's a bargain. Yeah, go.
All right.
Yeah.
So most gamers aren't going to know the concessions. I'll give you an example. I have two favorite games this generation. One is Gears 5. It was on PC.
I love Gears 5. It was great. Great game.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a Gears fanatic. Like, that's my favorite game series of all time. But regardless. And then Dreams is the other one. That one was on PC. I don't know the difference.
Dreams was not on PC?
No, it was not on PC.
Was not on PC.
I'm
okay.
saying I also like that game, even though it was only on PS4.
Got it.
I'm not going to know the difference, so...
No, I mean you will. I mean, when you've got people out there that allow a company like Digital Foundry to stay in business, that indicates there are people out there that geek out over this shit, and they do appreciate and enjoy those subtle differences that a lot of people that are sort of core gamers, but they're not sort of tech heads, are going to notice. So, I mean, I'm not saying those people don't have a leg to stand on. I just don't think their leg is as profitable or meaningful as they wish it was. Because if it was really profitable and meaningful, Sony wouldn't be doing it. But Sony's basically going, we're willing to alienate a percentage of a very small group of niche people in order to gain customer and mind share from the vast majority of people who buy games. So I don't think it's a problem, but I appreciate it is for some people. Thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it, bud.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later. Let me get real quick. Hang on one second. Heath Nation, who had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, good sir. He says, it's today. I thought it was yesterday, although I was up real late, so maybe it was today. Happy birthday. What better way to end my birthday than to watch Papa Jaffe preach about gaming? Here are some ducats. Thank you for the super chat, and I hope you had a wonderful happy birthday. Can everybody who has the ability give Heath Nation in the chat a picture of who will soon be the next Mrs. Jaffe? I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it on behalf. Now, you may look at her, Heath Nation, but she's mine. But you may look at her as a gift, okay? Please give him his birthday gift. And Kronos is not wrong. He says, smash the like button on Gabbin' and Gaming. It's easy. I would appreciate it only if you like it. If you don't like it, give me a downvote. Oh, shut up, Sweetness Gaming. That's not my next wife. Come on now. Nobody's even put her in the goddamn thing yet. What's wrong with y'all? There you go. Robbie Bobby Miller does it. There's my Taylor Swift. There's my girlfriend. Robbie Bobby over on Twitter says, Jaffe Huckleberry here. In my opinion, PlayStation has plans for more legacy modes. They purposely left a giant space on this graphic. Let me bring this up so you guys know what he is talking about. This is something, I guess, I'm not even familiar with this, but this is something they tweeted. Is that what you're saying? Come back now. This is backwards compatibility. I guess PlayStation put this out. Is this for PS5? So native. What is this I'm looking at? I don't know what this is. Fuck you, Lost Eden. Go fuck yourself. I will, Angel. Goddamn right. I don't want that fucking monkey. Thank you, Jojo D. What is this? Is this what they're saying? Okay, it's backwards compatibility on the PS5. So you've got native mode for PS5, PS4 Pro, PS4's legacy mode. That's happening now. But you're saying this exists because this will ultimately be PS3, PS Vita, PSP, PS2, PS1, all of that shit is what you're saying. Charlie says PS5 Avengers makes sense not being on PS Now because PS5 does not exist for streaming on PS Now. What? Streaming has nothing to do with it. You can download PS5 and PS4 games on PS Now. There's no reason, well, there's a lot of reasons, but there's no reason that Sony should have said, I mean, Sony doing what they did today by letting people go, hey, get Avengers, even though I don't know if they give a shit that it was a counterpunch. It ended up looking really stupid. It ended up with them looking like, we want to play with Microsoft. We want to play the Game Pass game. We want to show you that PS Now is equivalent, but we can't really do what Microsoft does. So although I think they did with Control, but for some reason, we can't give you the next gen Avengers. I just think that's a really bad fucking look. I want to play the next Horizon, says Joe. Horizon is PS5. I want to play Halo and Xbox. Einstein would figure out an equation in his sleep. Yeah, it's right. You just play what you like. That's exactly right. Is it a Square Enix decision? It probably is, but it's probably a decision that says, yeah, no problem, Sony. This is how much we want for that. Because right now we're making X million off of the assumption that people will upgrade PS4 to PS5, which is either free or $10. I don't know. And if you give the 5 away, we're going to lose money. And in that, Sony should have been like, yep, here you go. I mean, look, if you're going to close Japan, if you're going to close and cancel games, you're doing it because you want to spend that money somewhere else. Well, perhaps do it there. Go, okay, Square, here's an extra X million. Now we get the PS5. That's because PS Now only has up to PS4. No PS5 support yet. I don't know what kind of support they need. I mean, just download it. You can download games on the PS5. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not that big of a deal to say you can now get this PS5 game to download, not stream, on your PS5. But maybe I'm wrong. And that's a great point, Brian, though. That's a great point. And that is their Achilles heel. Brian in the chat says that is why Sony must stay hardware-based. They're terrible at services. Well, they need to get better at services because that's the goddamn future. Pay Papa Cheeks. What's up, pal? What do you want to talk about?
I just wanted to just let you know. Did you read the GQ article that Jim Ryan did in February?
I skimmed it. I didn't read it enough to be that fluent in it, but I'm familiar with it.
He teases, basically, obviously he gave a non-answer, which is probably what most CEOs in that position will do when they ask the question. But he said that they have something in the works to combat Game Pass because that's what he was asked.
Well, he said there will be Game Pass news, but not today or something like that.
Right, and I'm on NeoGAF all the time, and from what I've been reading and hearing, basically it sounds like Sony's been trying to make some moves with some larger companies that work with, is it Crunchyroll? Is Crunchyroll anime?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, Crunchyroll, Funimation, they literally have been in talks for the past year or so. And from my understanding is they have been trying to, for the longest time, which is why they haven't done it, is they want a service where they have, obviously, their own films, Sony Studio films, and shows that they own. And they also want to merge it with, they want to buy Crunchyroll. From my understanding, they wanted to buy them, but I don't know if that went through. But I'm hearing that they want to include that in, an all-one service.
I'm sure they do. They're not very smart. In that, because everybody wants their streaming service. Paramount Plus I had for a week and I canceled it. Sony has the worst intellectual property when it comes to movies and television out there. So I don't imagine.
Spider-Man, that's basically it, right?
Which one?
They got basically Spider-Man.
They have Spider-Man, and I guess if they build that universe out, I mean, you know, when I lived in LA, you would drive up to all the movie lots, and they would have out front these massive billboards of the movies that were in production or coming out real soon, or that were in theaters now. And then when you drive through the gates of the studios, they would have a lot of their legacy images. Like, you know, you'd go through Fox, obviously, and there would be a Star Wars, or there would be an Alien. When you drove through Sony, up until the last time I drove through the Sony gates, which is going on 10 years at this point, it was Sleepless in Seattle, right? I mean, they don't have anything. There's a giant Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, you know, overlooking the Sony guard post of fucking Sleepless in Seattle. So, I mean, I think that's great if they want to do it. But, you know, regardless, though, and even people in the chat right now are saying, oh, well, you have to understand that Avengers is PS Plus, and you have to be able to download it and stream it. It's like, it's not like they have to make a deal with Sony. They're Sony. And look, it's fine if they said, you know what? This is not a response to MLB. This is not a response to Outriders. This is just simply something that was in the works, and it wasn't meant to be compared to what Game Pass is doing. And that's fair. But if that's the case, then it's one more example of a company that is just looking like, at the moment, they're asleep behind the fucking wheel. Because
how do you explain Nintendo then? Because Nintendo is like giving like all-time high profits with all their games.
Nintendo speaks to a totally different audience for the most part.
I mean, not really. I mean, look what they're selling. Like their biggest game right now that's charted is what's the Monster Hunter Rise, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest like game like 2 years ago that came out that was selling on Xbox One and PS4? It was Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, but the number of games that sell on Nintendo consistently are not third-party games like that. They are the Marios, the Zeldas, the Mario Kart, the Smash Bros, the Splatoons.
Right.
You know, and in that, and they sell to a younger audience. And there are a lot of people don't even enter Switch in the equation. It's kind of like the Wii 60. It's like everybody knows you get a Nintendo because it's its own ecosystem. It's its own thing. And then
no one's doing handheld besides them.
Well, there's that as well. Although Apple Arcade, it's a different story. But let me just tell you, the RPG from the guy who made Final Fantasy on Apple Arcade is pretty fucking good. I'm really digging it. But that's a different conversation. But the point, though, about why not Nintendo, I honestly think that they really are going for a very different audience. In this, let me phrase it better. They make products that hit home differently to people who play their products than what PlayStation or Xbox make.
Like Animal Crossing,
right? And those things can live independently and not fight, right? It's not that gamers wouldn't choose Xbox or Sony over Switch. It's that they don't have to, because they're so different, they can coexist together. I think Sony and Xbox and PC are so similar that it naturally creates this sort of division, is what I would say. All right, Papa Cheeks, I appreciate the call, buddy. Call back anytime.
Thanks for having me.
All right, anytime. All right, fellas. Well, there you go. That is Gabbing Games for today. Oh, wait. Brian King says Sony has the Tarantino films. Yeah, okay. I mean, I love Tarantino's movies. Do they really? Do they have all of them, or just Once Upon a Time? They have Django, and they have Inglourious Bastards and everything. Is Apple Arcade worth it? Okay, let me talk to you about Apple Arcade. I don't know if you can get it if you're on Android. Here's what I can tell you. Daniel says, sorry, Sony has Men in Black, which is a dead franchise. Jumanji, which is hard to tell. The first remake was brilliant. The second one didn't set the world on fire. Bloodshot is nothing. Venom, of course, is part of Spider-Man. Elysium, the fuck is Elysium? I don't even know what that is. Not that because I don't know what it is, it's not valuable, but if it's not big enough to be in the zeitgeist, and I'm a hardcore fucking geek, I'm pretty stunned. But anyway, Apple Arcade, what I will tell you is cool about it, and I'm not pushing See, John Moore, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. But it's understandable that you're wrong. Most people would be. John says, yes, if you like Apple iPod type games, it's worth it. See, the thing is, when you have it on arcade, all the microtransactions, you're talking about the Matt Damon movie? Oh, Jesus. That thing from 10 years ago? No. Okay, anyway, listen. Put yourself in Discord. Call in. But Apple Arcade doesn't have any of the bullshit microtransactions. It doesn't have any of that. It is the game. So I'm not playing the Final Fantasy Sakaguchi's game called Fantasia or whatever. It's a terrible name. I'm not playing that in every 20 steps I have to buy something, or I'm not hitting paywalls. It is simply a handheld with not great controls for a lot of the games. If you're playing an action game, that's the biggest Achilles heel. But there are some of the best games I've played in the last year. Grindstone, Spring, this Final Fantasy game is really good. It's only $5 a month. Try it. See if you like it. They don't have tons of games. They just added 80 brand new games. But, see where it goes with you. But I enjoy it. I'm glad I have it. I don't know if they're making money, Charlie. I have no idea. I know that there was a mandate handed down from Apple on high to say a lot of the Apple Arcade games that we launched with that were, that were not gamey. They were like super arty. They're like, we still want those, but we need to get some stuff that's pure gamey on here too. Right. Gnome Wizard says Apple Arcade got a new clap hands golf game, which people say plays just like Hot Shots Golf. I'm not against Matt Damon, MTX. I like Matt Damon. I'm just saying that Elysium is not something that the kids want action figures for every fucking Christmas. Nobody knows what Elysium is. You may as well say, hey, Sony has the rights to, I don't fucking even know, the Jennifer Lopez movie where she played the lady trying to get away from her husband. Well, they do, but it's not like you want to build the Jennifer Lopez cinematic universe. That's all I'm fucking saying. Okay. All right. Well, I would have you call in, buddy, but I don't see in the chat. In the future, all you do is you sign up for the Discord, you put yourself in the Last of Us 2 room, and I will bring you onto the show. In the meantime, I'm done. I'm out. I might be streaming a game tonight. I'm in the middle of making a video. This guy made a game called Whisker Squadron, and it is basically his take on Star Fox. And he sent me a little bit of the game, and it is quite cool. I might be streaming that tonight or making a video. We will have to see. Charlie, there's a new game from Platinum on Apple Arcade. Yes, it's called something like World of Monsters or Shadows. It's a samurai Japanese fighting game or action adventure game. I played it. I deleted it after about a day and a half. It was fine, but it's just fine. It's nothing that I want to spend my time really playing a lot of. But your mileage may vary, especially for playing with controller. Maybe it's a lot better, but where's the Last of Us 2 room? It's not new. I just have to change the title, but it's just a room we had. Well, there you go. Oh shit, here comes Rogue. Rogue's back. Rogue, you're the last caller. What do you want to talk about? Rogue. Oh, Rogue, where are you? I miss you so. Rogue, where are you? He just died. He left. Okay, fellas, I'm out. Thank you guys for the super chats. Rogue, are you here? Rogue.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. What's up? You're the last caller. Go.
My bad.
Don't care. Don't care. Go.
Okay, don't care. So you can talk about whatever you want with me, if you have time. We can talk about Game Pass if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm fine, man. Is there something you want to talk about?
All right. So I wanted to say I have an Xbox One X. I tried Game Pass for 3 years. I was one of the first people to try Ultimate Game Pass, and I can see what's the value in there. Everything there is super dry, and I don't like the Xbox ecosystem. There's plenty of EA games that nobody's gonna play. There's plenty of games that you have already played, So if the value of Game Pass is somebody new coming to the Xbox platform that hasn't played those old games.
Listen. Hang on. Keep talking. I'm going to do something in the background, but I can totally hear you and the audience can hear you. Keep going.
Okay. So the value of Game Pass is somebody that hasn't experienced all the Gears games, all the Xbox 360 games. I applaud Phil Spencer for preserving the Xbox 360 legacy, and that's something Jim Ryan should also do. And I gave you a picture in Twitter of how the legacy can be preserved with emulation. You can check it out after the stream. I don't see the value in Game Pass in this way, that people are renting games and not owning them, and after you're done with Game Pass, if you're not paying it, those games go away.
Who cares?
So
what are you going to do? I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you have a bunch of games that you've played in the past?
I care, because we're going to become like Netflix. Every gaming platform is going to subscription services.
But so what? What do you care?
I care because...
I'm not saying everybody doesn't care, but the idea that, oh no, you're not going to be able to snap your fingers and suddenly, at the drop of a hat play, some game that you used to own. I mean, what value is that for most consumers is, I guess, my question, because you say it like, oh shit, you're right. It never occurred to me that now I may be without a copy of, Banjo-Tooie. I mean, how often do you pull out Banjo-Tooie and play the fucking thing?
My question to you is, what happens when we start paying to Ubisoft, to EA, and all that subscription services just to play their games? Because that's where we're going. Well,
so what? Then I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same thing that happens now. It's the same thing that happens, when you're talking about Netflix, or I canceled Paramount Plus because they didn't have anything I wanted. So if it turns out that Game Pass goes through a dry spell of 3 or 4 or 5 months, I just won't pay for it. And then if they bring back, oh look, Gears of War 6, I'll pay for it. But the idea that you're looking at Game Pass and you have a right to not like the goddamn thing. Of course, I respect that. But how anybody could look at this and just act as if there's just nothing to play.
Oh, there is to play. There's good games, but the problem here is they're not bundling them with the DLC. There's The Witcher 3 without the DLC. There's games without the DLC. Well, even Control launched without the Ultimate Edition on the Game Pass. So that means you're not getting the next-gen upgrade, which we got for free on PlayStation Plus.
Right. So then keep subscribing to PlayStation Plus. I mean, this is how people are going to compete. This is how they're going to make it,
Yeah, I saw great deals with Gears of 5 launching with the Hypebuster DLC. That's great for Xbox Series X. But there's so many games that are copy-pasted and duplicated. The same game duplicated 4 times just to feel the emptiness of Game Pass. Why are they copying the same game and pasting it 4 times?
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
It's a necessary...
what are you talking about? Give me an example. What do you mean they're copying the same game and pasting it 4 times?
I watched a YouTuber's video. His name is King Trash on Twitter. And he basically showcased how every game has copy-pasted 4 times the same game you find in Game Pass.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Give me an example. Are you saying Gears of War is Gears of War 3, or are you talking about sequels?
Now, I'm talking about Gears of War 3 copy-pasted 4 times. Gears of War 3. So you find it the same game a bunch of times in Game Pass.
I'm looking at it right now. I see 1 Gears of War 3. Where am I supposed to look for these other ones?
It's very confusing. They have the editions. The ecosystem is very confusing for people. And
you're very confusing, because I don't know what you're saying. Literally, by the way, here's free DLC on Hot Shots Racing that you don't have to pay for. But you're not wrong. There is absolutely an argument to be made that, a lot of stuff on Game Pass doesn't include the DLC, and if you want the extra characters in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, for example, you may have to pay for it. Yeah. So what? You're look at all the shit you're getting for free. I mean, again, you can still buy the games on Game Pass if you want.
I think Phil Spencer is starting to kill it now with Outriders going to Game Pass it's not free. You're paying a monthly fee, and it's
I know
expensive.
Let me ask you this question, because I and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you don't agree, and if you don't agree, I don't have a problem with that. Just let me know. But I think I'm a pretty logical, rational guy. I think I'm a guy who doesn't walk around giving a fuck who wins a fantasy console war that, frankly, if you really are invested in, I have to assume you're 12, okay? So what...
I don't care who wins.
Okay, so
I
what
want
does it say?
competition.
What does it say? What does it say that, you know, most people are raving about Game Pass and you're not really convincing anyone? I mean, you're just in the minority. Does that bother you?
I want competition between the two brands. I'm not seeing it from Xbox. They're just starting to bring competition, and I like that. Outriders is on Game Pass. MLB The Show is on Game Pass. They bought Bethesda. Xbox are coming back. I like that. They have been flopping for the past 8 years, and they need to hit Sony really hard so Sony can get their shit together. They can start competing Xbox with PlayStation so we can get better quality products. I love competition. I don't care about console wars, who's gonna win, who's gonna have more sales. None of that interests me.
Okay, well, nothing you've said has made me think that I can tell you I fucking love Game Pass. So, but I appreciate it. I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your call. I think you're wrong all over the place, but guess what? That's what makes it great. That's what makes fandom fun. We can still be pals and disagree with a great deal of passion.
Of course.
And Rogue,
of course. You can disagree with me, of course.
Call back anytime, sir. It's good to talk to you, buddy.
Thank you for having me in the show.
Anytime.
Have fun gaming.
All right. There goes Rogue. I agree. Somebody in the chat saying you want a Doctor Strange game by Remedy. That's a great fucking idea, man. That is a great goddamn idea. I don't want to be tied to the internet to have to play my games. I don't think you are. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think. I know you can download your games. Do you still have to be connected to GameSpot or Game Pass just to play the game? You might. I don't know. What about PS Now? When you download a PS Now game? So I don't know, but I've been loving this game. I would have never played this fucking thing without Game Pass at all. Jaffe is missing everything this guy is trying to say. Lexicon, go fuck yourself, because I'm hearing everything he's trying to say, but he's not convincing me. Okay. I don't agree with him. The idea that you're telling me and you're telling most gamers that this experience, of having all of these games that you would not otherwise have access to because you wouldn't buy them or you wouldn't know about them. There is great value if you love video games in that. The idea that I'm not listening to him is bullshit. I don't want to pay $60 for Outriders and $60 for Ori, and then I don't want to go on eBay and try to find somebody to sell me a copy of Shadows of the Damned, and then $60 for Jedi Fallen Order, and then $40 for Little Nightmares. Why would I want to do that? Why in the fuck would I want to do that? Why can't in your brainstem you go, oh, of course, Jaffe's view represents what most people think like, right? Who wants that? What do you mean most of the games you'll never play? I'm playing them. I'm playing them now. I've played more games. Forget me, but I have played more games since I've had Game Pass. The stats are people play 40% more games than they have Game Pass. I don't know, man. Here's what I'll tell you. Usually what happens when you are debating with someone and you are unable to understand their point, and you're not alone in understanding their point, they're arguing from an emotional standpoint. All right, what's up, Andreas? Good to see you, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So my worry as a big Sony fan is that they're going to keep making money for a few years, and then suddenly it's going to tank.
For Sony, you mean?
Yes. So I absolutely think they should respond to Game Pass because I want them to be around to make the games that they make and I love. Because we've seen that in the past with companies not adapting and then just tanking. And I really hope that this is not going to happen.
Sure, I hope so too. And I mean, Sony's a really smart company. They're going to respond. Their response may ultimately mean putting somebody else in charge, but I don't think so. I think Jim Ryan sees the writing on the wall and knows what's going on. But yeah, I don't want to see Sony go anywhere. But they better get their heads out of their asses if they haven't already, because this is going to come bite them in the goddamn ass. That's all I'll say.
Right. Here's to the games. Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, here's to the games. Thank you so much for taking the call.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. All right, thanks, man. All right, I'm gonna read some super chats real quick. I appreciate them, you guys. Danny Hobo says Epic Games, and he's right, gives out a free game every week. Would you consider playing the free game on stream if it looks streamable? Yeah, I would, and I have. I have played Epic Games on the stream before. I don't always get their free game because I'm not interested, but probably 50%, 40% of the time I do. Virg, thank you so much. Brizzle says, why, Daniel? Is there a game you want me to play they're giving away? Jaffe, do you know you can still buy the games? Absolutely, yes. I was about to pull the trigger on Monster Train, and then I found a new obsession. And Monster Train I love, but it just got a little bit hard. Control has a free Series X upgrade. Misinformed. Really? That's good to know, because I thought at least you could say, well, Sony did that and they didn't do the Avengers. But yeah, if you're saying that, if you're saying that no, they actually have the upgrade on the Xbox, that's great. Okay, so let me. Where'd he go? El Amino Pio. He says, thank you for the super chat. He says, you are guilty of telling the honest truth. You make too much sense. Well, I appreciate it, sir. Again, my mind is open. I could be wrong about things. All the time I'm wrong about goddamn things. But in this case, I don't think I am. What gives you blind faith, says Gotta Go Fast. Jim has a plan. Okay, I don't have blind faith. I have said the guy may very well have his head in the sand. And optically speaking, as I've said several times today, it looks like he has his head in the sand. But we have history to show that a lot of times gamers complain about that, like when people were going, where is the PlayStation 5? And the PlayStation 5 was like, we're coming, and they came out and people lost their shit. So they just probably are not ready to announce yet. But the reason I have faith, not blind faith, is because these are not stupid people at either company. And you can't tell me that Jim Ryan, Scott Rhodey, Connie Booth, all of these folks are not aware that the train is barreling down on them, and this is going to be a significant shift, and they need to deal with it. Now, you could be right, he doesn't, but that's a harder thing to believe. To me, it's harder for me to believe that, because you would have to be really fucking stupid. And I don't think you get really fucking stupid and get to be in a position that Jim Ryan is. I have not tried DMT. I want to try it very much. Captain Tins, what's up, man? Come on in.
Hey, Tappy. How you doing, man?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the stream. This is really cool.
Anytime.
So, yeah. I want to talk to you about the Series X upgrade. It is not free for Xbox. Like, the reason the Ultimate Edition for Control exists is because it's a paid upgrade. Because it is not, like, free for Xbox. Like, the version that is in Game Pass right now is just a launch version.
Okay, so then this guy on the chat, the super chat, then he's wrong. Virg Brizzle says it is a free Series X upgrade. That's not correct.
That is not correct, no.
Okay.
And so basically what the Ultimate Edition gives you is not just like the upgrade with the 60 FPS and ray tracing. It also gives you like all the expansions and stuff.
And that's what Sony currently has on PS Now?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
Great.
Not PS Now, PS Plus.
Got it. Okay. And if you didn't get it, it's over.
Yeah. You only get it after like a month, and you can only get it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
Why?
So just wanted to.
What's
up?
I appreciate that clarification. Why do you think Sony has been so, at least what the consumer sees, slow to respond to Game Pass? Do you think they really just don't see it as a shift or a threat?
Okay, here's my take on it. Sony clearly has a very different idea of what they want to do, right? So when I'm looking at Game Pass, I don't think that Sony, like, everyone's just expecting Sony to just come out with the same concept and having, like, the same, like, service. But I feel like Sony's going to try, like, something different. Everyone's expecting them to come back to Game Pass in some way or another, but they're not expecting that Sony just wants to play the game a different way. Now, we don't know the way they're going to play it to this day because they haven't made any official announcement. But I feel like everyone's expecting the wrong thing from Sony.
Why? I mean, if you look at what happened with XBLA got there first, and Sony came along with PSN and said, that's a great idea, we'll do that too. I mean, what?
Good point.
You know,
I feel like it would be a great idea if they merged PS Now and PS Plus for the same price. Like if they merged it into one single service.
Yeah, I think that's coming. I think we all know that's coming. I think it's going to include backwards compatibility, emulation with the PS3 and all that stuff. I mean,
wasn't it like not possible to do backwards compatibility with like the PS3? Because I heard that it was just
it was emulation you can do. You can't do
but like actually
to download it. To download it becomes a much different thing. But But that said, though, I mean, who really knows? They for the longest time said that you also can't change your PSN ID name. I'm sure anything's possible. It's a question of where they want to put their aim. You know what I mean?
Do you think that backwards compatibility is a huge deal and is something that Sony should be focusing on?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal in the way that a lot of people online talk about it. Like, I don't think this idea of preservation, because preservation happens at a company level. Preservation happens at a museum level. It's but that's
For sure.
Kind of a different thing. But here's what I think is great about backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility is great when you don't even know that it's backwards compatible, right? Because in that, I think that's one of the reasons that Steam is so successful. I think that's one of the reasons I'm loving Game Pass so much. I mean, the fact that I can fire up Indiana Jones The Emperor's Tomb, which I'm bringing up right now if you're watching the stream, and quick resume it, and I'm just off and running on a game that came out in 2003, it doesn't feel like it's backwards compatible. It just feels like I'm playing an older game.
It's another game.
Right.
Exactly.
And in that, I think there is value to that regarding the sense of, wow, there's a lot of value to owning this box or owning Game Pass on whatever service. But I don't think it's valuable in the way of like, it's valuable to people digitally. But the idea of, I have an entire closet full of boxes and in each box are games going back to the Atari and I want to be able to drag out, I want to be able to run my Atari cartridge on, that's niche.
Not a priority.
Right. But the fact that I can go onto Steam like I did earlier this year or last year and I can play Dead Space 2 for the very first time. And I had never played it before and it didn't feel like, I'm playing an old game. I'm just playing Dead Space 2. That I think is a great fucking thing.
The way I see it, just before, because I know you got someone else on the line, but the way I see it is that, say I have Red Dead Redemption, the first one that came out back in 2010. I don't know when it was. Yeah. Say I have it back in my closet just collecting dust, and I have 100% that whole thing on PS3. Say it could be possible to do backwards compatibility. Now, I would only boot up that game since I've played it so many times on the old hardware and be like, it looks really pretty, like with new resolution. But that would only be just, it wouldn't be, long term. It wouldn't be something that I kept playing because, I've already 100% completed that. So I would only boot it up, say, it looks a lot prettier, and then I would just never use it much again. You see what I'm saying?
I do. I think the thing is a lot of people make these decisions about what they want companies to do they don't understand that companies, even Microsoft, only has so many resources. And it's like, would it be nice? Like everybody was raving, where's Scott Pilgrim? Scott Pilgrim is a great example of why this matters. Nobody bought Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim came out. People, I know, like Rob the Mod bought the physical edition, but Rob the Mod literally also has the baby from BB-8 sitting on his goddamn shelf. Rob the Mod could get about 80. This is statistically proven. Rob the Mod could get about 80% statistically more sex if he put the goddamn baby away, but he won't do it. So there are people that say, yeah, I like that, but businesses aren't going after the niche market unless you're talking about limited run, which they run a nice business. But Microsoft doesn't give a fuck about that. They're too expensive. But I hear you. That's what I think. Captain Tins, call back anytime. Good to talk to you, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me on the stream, man. This
Anytime.
is really fun.
Anytime. Rob the Mod, am I right or am I right? Don't fucking act like you don't know what I'm talking about, you fucking baby owning motherfucker. Look at him in the chat. He's in the chat. He's brought himself in there. Now he's embarrassed. He ain't going to say shit. Fine, I'll bring on George. Well, what are you doing? Rob's like, who? What? LOL? You're right there.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
I was muted.
What's up?
I got to. Hey, that thing is going to be worth something one day, right? I'm going to make a fortune off of it.
It might be worth something. That's probably true.
Meanwhile, it has gone down in value drastically.
That's exactly right. So what's
It's
up?
like
What
60.
what do you want to talk about, Rob the Mod?
Look, are we talking about Game Pass still?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just.
What else is there to talk about?
I don't know. I'm still paying attention to other things. But look, Game Pass is great, man. Look, I have renewed my subscription for Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think I hear my echo.
I hear your echo too.
Jesus Christ. Let me change that and call it back, okay?
Yeah, give me a call back. I'm gonna bring on George real quick. What I will tell you is you notice it really bad when a game doesn't have quick resume, because Dirt does not have quick resume. And you feel it, and it sucks. You get really spoiled. All right, George, what's up, man?
All right, can you hear me, Will?
I can hear you great.
Fantastic. Out of your ways, we're talking about Game Pass.
What's up?
I don't really have much to say to the conversation right now.
Well, then why are you
but
calling?
What I wanted to ask is, what do you think is going to happen to Xbox in like 4 or 5 years, when maybe the Game Pass business model has either succeeded moderately or overwhelmingly, to the point where like they're beating Sony somehow in terms of hardware sales and everything? Do you think Xbox will go down the route of doing more exclusives like PS4 did, where they had like 3 or 4 big exclusives each year? Or do you think Xbox will stick to their route and maybe do something just like one Halo-like thing every other year, with just filler exclusives in between that aren't really that earth-shattering, but just
all right? I got your point. I'm going to hang up on you because the connection's really bad. But I'll answer your question though. Okay.
Sure.
I'm not sure. It's really hard to hear you today, George. Call back anytime, bud.
Sure.
All right, man. So my answer to that is, look, my philosophy or my prediction, for Game Pass is that it is going to change the way people get games. Just like Netflix changed the business. Just like that's why you see Disney Plus and Amazon and HBO Max and on and on and on. Shudder. I would love if somebody called me and said, Jaffe, we want you to be the creative, the CCO, the creative content officer of a streaming service and a download service for games that's just horror. And we want you to find games to put on it, exclusives. We want you to curate. I would fucking love it. I would love there to be a Shudder of video games. I'd go ape shit. But the point is, I think they are going to eventually be on televisions. They already said, this is not me being a brilliant guy. This is me parroting back what Phil Spencer said. Phil Spencer has said, we're going to be on smart TVs this year with streaming. So, you know, that's where it's going. Now, if it doesn't work, I don't know what they would do, because now they own all these studios. Here's what I get the sense. I don't think Xbox would have the appetite for this if they can't play at this level of where they want to go with Game Pass. I don't think they want to just be, hey, we make a console and we compete with Sony. I think when you're dealing with Microsoft and Google and Amazon, those are like, you know, these massive forces that want to make bigger dents in the universe, as Job said. They're not looking to just sort of succeed in a healthy niche world. But that's my take. I don't really know. Yeah, Soldier Boy has a lot. That's right. Quick resume, says Virgil, is not needed when you have the fastest SSD. It's not true, dude. It just isn't accurate. I have a PS5. I love my PS5. I love Dark Souls or Demon Souls because of the SSD. The SSD is no joke, okay? But the difference between that, loading up a game there, and just, because on those you still have to load the game. So you still have to go through all the bullshit, right? I don't think Outriders has quick resume. So let me see what I have on quick resume. They really need to bring their fucking wheels soon to let people know what you have that is quick resume, because right now I never really fucking know what is functioning on quick resume. But let me go to my games, and the difference between jumping from dirt to I don't know what is under quick resume. My guess would be I've been playing a lot of Outriders, but that doesn't have quick resume. I can do Indy. You've already seen Indy, but I'll do Indy again because I know it's up. I mean, there's a big difference between that and what's about to happen here. The fact that now I am pretty much back in the game, and I am, you don't have to load, you don't have to look for the fucking menu and load the latest game. It's none of that. And I know you can do that with the activity cards to some extent, but I'm sorry, this is better. And I have both. And I've played with the activity cards with Sackboy Big Adventure, which is a great game. And I'm sorry. I mean, you cannot like it. You cannot be impressed by it. And that's absolutely fair. But the idea that quick resume is not a big deal, it is an absolute big deal. It is such a big deal. It is such a big deal that I have actually considered doing a stream in the future. And I haven't just done it yet. I've been busy. Where it is almost like listening to radio, where we are just constantly moving from one game to the next. We play a little bit of this, and we play a little bit of that. In 8 minutes, we die in a boss fight on Outriders. So now we go to Hotshot Racing. I mean, look at the speed of this. Look at how fast I am into this game. I mean, I'm playing this goddamn game. Are you out of your goddamn mind? I'm sorry. That matters. That matters. But yeah, if you're like Caveman and you only play one game at a time, of course, this is no big deal. But I like to play lots of shit. And this ain't small potatoes, baby. It ain't small potatoes at all. Look at that. This game is great, too. This game deserved so much goddamn love, and it just didn't get it. Didn't get it. Rob the Mod, what's up, pal? Oh, do I got to unmute you real quick? Hang on. No, you're in. No, you're not. Rob, what's up, man?
Hey. Are we good with the echo? Okay.
I think we're good.
So what I was getting at was I'm always preaching about how awesome Game Pass is.
One moment, Rob. Virgil says Series X can only quick resume 5 games. So, how many fucking games can how many can Sony quick resume? None? All right, go ahead, Rob.
I'm usually always preaching about how awesome Game Pass is.
Yes.
And it's valid, but here's the thing is that I've been playing more on PC lately.
Okay, bye, buddy. Have a good walk. You've been playing more on PC?
And I've been playing more on PC lately, so I went out of my way to buy the Xbox Series S, is the digital version of it, right?
That's right.
And you know what, the amount of games is on there. I've been playing Narita Boy, Medium.
You mean the ones that you get on the console versus the PC side?
The ones that you get on the console version is obviously better because
That's right.
I've been playing a lot of Oblivion. Yeah, even with the Bethesda collection they just put on there, I've been playing the hell out of Oblivion,
Yep.
And there's just so much. I don't see why people they don't want that. I just don't understand.
Rob, it's psychology. They want it. I mean, okay. There's only 2 logical options. One is that they're like, I appreciate it, I respect it. It's not for me because I'm really into collecting. Then I'm like, oh, okay, totally makes sense. But I think those people represent a minority. I think most people are basically fanboys, and they don't like that Sony doesn't have it. But rest assured, when Sony gets it, they'll be all over it once it becomes competitive with Game Pass. That's what I think. Rob, I'm going to take yeah, they are. I'm going to take a West Coast call, then I'm out. I'll see you soon, Rob. Thank you, bud.
All right, cool. See you soon.
All right. A, what's up, pal? What do you want to talk about? Last call of the day.
What's good, Jaffe? What's good?
Well, lots of things.
Hey,
what's going on?
Hey, I'm a fan of Game Pass, right? But I had a question for you, since you were, a developer, ex-developer.
Yep.
I hear a lot of concerns about developers not making money because games are going to Game Pass.
Where are you hearing those concerns from?
Twitter, from
right.
People that are against Game Pass.
Right. Okay, keep going.
Services like it.
Yep.
But I wanted your opinion on that. Being that you're a former dev or
well, look,
developer.
I have a couple of things to say about that. The first one I've said before, which is the closest I've come to it as a developer is when we launched our game on PlayStation Plus, and every deal is different. Our deal was PlayStation Plus said, "Hey, Bartlett Jones and Sony First Party, we will give you guys half of your development budget if you will come to PlayStation Plus day one." And we said, that's a great fucking deal for us. We'll fucking take it. Okay. I also know that I have read plenty of interviews with developers and articles specifically about the sustainability of Game Pass. And they have all said developers are absolutely happy with it. If a developer doesn't like being on Game Pass, they won't take the deal. It's not like they're forced. It's not like they're forced to be on the goddamn thing.
My thoughts too, Jaffe. But I just wanted a little insight from you because you worked in the business.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fucking great, man. And I appreciate your call, buddy. Call back anytime.
Thank you.
Right, see you, man. All right, fellas, that is the show. We went longer than I thought, but I had a good time chatting with you guys. I hope you had a good time chatting with me. Let me give you some updates. Just quick resume work with physical games. I don't think so. By the way, this is Indiana Jones: The Emperor's Tomb. And it's great. I studied this game when I was designing God of War. The designer of this game, Tony Barnes, the designer of many classic games, is going to come on the show soon. We're going to do a long form interview with him. But anyway, point being, subscribe, like, if you want to do such nonsense. If you didn't like the show, give me a thumbs down so I'll know there's things we can improve on. Sign up on our Discord. We have movie night for members coming up this Saturday. There's a couple other things coming up as well, but I just wanted, I'm tired. I'm fried, fellas. I'm out. I'm done. I love talking with you guys. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the memberships. Thanks for the subs. I will see you guys next